Hi friends, Scott Brookins. Got a question for you. When things go wrong, how do you react? Sometimes we get angry, sometimes we can be bitter, but I wanted to challenge us to not get bitter, but get better. And I want to illustrate this through an amazing story in the book of Genesis in the Bible. It's the first book of the Bible. So if you have that, it's easy to find. You can go to chapter 37. Or you can go online to BibleGateway.com, I think it's .com, and find an online Bible and look it up. It's a fascinating story, a lot of twists and turns. That would be a great movie if people would make it into. But it's a story about Joseph. Joseph was a young boy. He had, his father. He had 11 other brothers. He was the favorite son, it tells us. And so his other brothers didn't like him at all, his older brothers. And so, but Joseph was a kind of a prideful teenager. He had dreams that God had given him, visions for what the future was going to be. But he was sharing these with his brothers and dad, and saying that one day you're going to bow down to me. And he was just probably excited about a vision or a dream, but he was sharing it, came across wrong, and his brothers just grew to hate him. And so there's in the story, they plotted that when Joseph came to see him, his dad sent him to go check on the brothers out in the, they were shepherds, and they plotted to kill him. Well, one of the older brothers, Reuben, said, well, we shouldn't kill him. Let's just put him in this cistern where, water would be kept. It was empty. And then he was going to take him back home. But as he was away, the other brothers saw a caravan coming of slave traders, and so they decided to sell their brother. And in the text it says, let's just sell him because he is our blood relative, And so they sold him. They took his coat, they killed an animal and put the blood on the coat and took it back and lied to their dad that an animal had killed his favorite son. And so, there's so many lessons in this whole story. So what happened was that Joseph then was taken into Egypt as a slave. He was sold to a captain of the guard, a high-ranking official in Egypt. And he became, because he took the attitude of not being angry or bitter or feeling sorry for himself or what's, now what, why me? He decided to trust that God was with him and do his best at whatever task was put in front of him. And so he became in charge of this man's household and ran it so well that the captain didn't even worry about anything. All he worried about was what he was going to eat. So Joseph ran all the business and household expenses and everything for this captain. He was a good-looking guy. The Bible tells us he was well built, and the captain Potiphar, his wife, wanted Joseph sexually, and so she kept tempting him. And Joseph kept turning her down and said, how can I sin against God in doing what's evil and what's wrong? And so he ran away from her, and she grabbed his coat and then told her husband that Joseph had tried to molest her. And so then he was thrown in prison. And so he was in a dungeon in a terrible situation, but he made the best of that. He trusted again that God was with him, that those visions he had, that the dreams that God had given him, they were there for a purpose, that he was there to help somebody. So he did his best. He became kind of in charge of the jail under the guard. And but he was in there for a long time. He was forgotten by a couple prisoners that he had helped, and actually they got out. But probably years down the road, Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, was having some dreams, and these two guys remembered, a cupbearer and a baker, remembered that they met this guy in prison, Joseph. And so he came up and he interpreted the dream, and Pharaoh put him in charge of the entire country. So Joseph rose from being a slave to being really the second in command of Egypt. And he got them very prosperous. He prepared, because of these dreams and visions that he had, it turned out to be there was going to be a drought and a famine. And so Joseph, through his knowledge and wisdom from God that he got, he saved Egypt and surrounding countries and people. And during this time, his brothers actually came then to buy grain from Egypt. He recognized them. He went through, made them go through a lot of hoops to kind of, repent of their sins to him and so forth, and read that. It's a great story, but he forgave them because he said, what you meant for evil, God meant for good. And so no matter what you and I go through, and some of us have gone through or maybe will go through some horrendous things, some illnesses, some deaths of family members, some hurricanes, some catastrophic earthquakes, whatever the situation may be, but we need to remember that God is with us. And as I shared in a passage or a message a little while ago that, Jesus tells us that we will have troubles in the world, but take heart, he has overcome the world. So I want us to leave today or whenever you're watching this, and please, click on notifications so you know when these are coming, or please like and share these with others. But as we go today and we run into maybe some difficult situations, maybe somebody just cuts us off on the highway, and instead of getting angry, just keep going. Let's choose to be better, make things better in our life, and not be bitter or angry or continually questioning why me or poor me. Let's have a positive attitude and know that God is with us, and he wants us to impact the lives of others. And so thank you for letting me share. Just go encourage someone today. Make it an amazing day in your life. God bless.